PB&Z Sportscast. PB, we're going to talk a little college. We're going to talk some NFL, and it's midseason NFL. So I want to get your thoughts, your scoreboard on who you think are the top teams in both leagues and who ultimately will probably come out of it. Let's talk college. Last week, by the way, you and I had a horrible week picking college games, 0 for 4, which just goes to show the way the game is going right now. College football is so freaking unpredictable. We're going to pick 4 games momentarily. But Ryan Day finally won a big game. He beat Penn State. Penn State, James Franklin, continues to not win big games. I think that's going to ultimately hurt him in the end, don't you think, when it comes to playoff time? I mean, they're probably going to make the playoffs, but he's probably going to be one and done, I would think.
Yeah,
because he can't win these big games.
Yep.
Yeah, so, well, all right, we'll see. All right. Indiana is still undefeated 9-0, but so is in BYU. We're going to pick that BYU game momentarily. Did you see the college playoff picks so far, the first rankings?
No, I have not seen the standings, but
So you got Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, and Miami. Boise State came in at 12th. They're also the 5th conference leader at this point in time. What's interesting, if Boise was at 13th, that means automatically they would have pushed the 12th seed out if that was the final rankings, because they have to get in as the conference champion. So I'll be curious how that plays out the rest of the year. But all right, let's go to the games that are going on. First of all, there's 2 huge ones in the SEC this weekend. You got number 11 Alabama going to number 15 LSU. Why this game is important, huge, both have 2 losses, right? Yeah. This is a de facto playoff game for them right now. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think more so for LSU. I think Bama, for some reason, just given their, American attention that they have.
Wait, so you're thinking that Bama couldn't afford to lose this game and run the table and still get in with 3 losses?
I think Bama has a greater chance of getting in with 3 losses than LSU does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's at LSU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes me want to take LSU, but I'm not going to bet against Bama in this big time game. I think they're going to win. I think they'll win by a field goal, and I'm going to take
2.5 point spread, right? So, field goal game, it's basically a pick 'em when you get a spread like that, right?
Yeah. So, and I know LSU's a hard place to play.
I'm leaning that way, right? But here's a little fun fact I just heard about this morning. Brian Kelly, since he's been at LSU, is undefeated at home. Brian Kelly is 7-1 after a loss. Last week they lost to Texas A&M. So, and it's at LSU at night, which everybody says Death Valley at night is a whole different animal than anything else. I'm actually going to go lean towards LSU in this one.
Okay. G-Money has LSU as well. I'm going
Yeah. All right. The big one in the Big 12, as it's still called. Now it's more like the Big 16, but they go by Big 12. Number 9, BYU goes to play Utah. BYU, we just talked about being 9-0, undefeated, on track to be a potential playoff team. But let's not forget one little fact. The favorite in this game, by the way, is BYU by a field goal 3. Utah is the preseason conference favorite to win that conference.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's at Utah.
At Utah, another tough place, right?
Yeah.
What do you think on that one?
Which is why I'm taking Utah. G-Money has BYU, so we're opposite on both right now. But
I'm going Utah as well. As well. I see them. Let's put it this way: it's a 1-point game. That puts them in. Even if BYU wins, we win our bet. So, all right. Here's another one, a good one. Colorado is now ranked 20, primetime. Deion Sanders' team. They're playing Texas Tech. I'm sorry. You know what? LSU didn't lose to Texas A&M last week. I forget who they lost to. Texas Tech beat Texas A&M last week. Yep. So I like Texas Tech to cover in this game. Colorado may win, but I 4 points. I'm going Texas Tech. What do you think?
Yeah, I have Texas Tech in this one as well, and so does G-Money. So we're all the same on that.
Okay. All right. Last, the other big one I mentioned, there's 2 big ones in the SEC. The other one is number 3, Georgia. And these, by the way, these rankings are the college football player rankings. Number 16, Ole Miss. Both these teams have lost. I think Ole Miss has two, if I'm not mistaken. Georgia has one. This is probably an elimination game for Ole Miss. Could be for Georgia with two. You never know. What do you think in this game? This is another 2.5 points. So both these big SEC games, 2.5 points, basically within the field goal. What do you think on that one?
Right. And both road teams are the favorite. It's going to be a tough one, but I think Georgia's going to pull it out. I'm going Georgia. I'll lay the 2.5.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I am too. G Money went with Ole Miss, though, right?
He went with Ole Miss. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going Georgia. I'm definitely going Georgia. All right. NFL. Wild week. We had some wins that were should have been losses. We had the Pats almost pulling it out and then giving it away after Drake made that unbelievable play. I mean, ran around for 12 freaking seconds before they threw that touchdown to Ramondre Stevenson. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Tampa Bay was surprisingly pretty good last week, even though they lost to KC, but they had a shot to win that game, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So before we make picks, we're right now at the midseason point. I think everybody's played 9. Some teams only played 8, but they're going to have 9 this week. Give me a scoreboard. AFC. Who do you like right now as the 3 favorites?
Yeah, I'm going to go with my 3 top teams just in the conference right now. Coming in at number 3 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And just because they've impressed me, they've had good wins. Russell Wilson looks like he's working out for the team and that transition from Justin Fields. I'll tell you what, though, if this team can't go into Washington this week and beat Washington, which I know we'll be picking that game, they're instantly out of my top 3. Even though Washington's a solid team. And the reason why
top 3, who do you get 2?
And then my number 2 is Buffalo. Okay. And then number 1, obviously, is going to be the Chiefs. And the reason why I don't have the Ravens in there right now is they do have 3 losses, and they lost to bad teams. They lost to, what do you call it? The Los Angeles Raiders. They just lost to bad teams. And on top of that, they had to play Cincinnati twice this year, and both times they barely won each game. They could have very well lost last night. And then the first game was like a 41-38. They don't play defense. And that's the reason why I'm not putting it in. Pittsburgh plays defense, and that's why I have Pittsburgh ahead of Baltimore.
I think they should be applauded for beating those. Cincinnati, most people had as being a Super Bowl contender going to the season, and they still have a Super Bowl offense. Their defense is probably even worse. I think that Baltimore deserves kudos for that. And by the way, you got to think about the hot team. They are 7-1. They made 3 losses, but they're 7-1 over the last 8 games. To me, much harder than Pittsburgh. I got Baltimore 3rd. I got Buffalo 2, and of course, KC has to be number 1 at this point in time. I'm surprised to me is Buffalo.
But the thing is, you lose to the Raiders at home. You lose to Kansas City. I think that's a fair loss. And then they lose to Cleveland the other week. Like, you can't lose to Cleveland and the Raiders and be in the top 3. I'm sorry. You just can't.
I'm going with Baltimore. Their offense is number 1 or number 2, I think, in the league. I got to put them in. Pittsburgh. I believe you guys didn't even have Pittsburgh in the playoffs. I had Pittsburgh in the playoffs this year. And now you're putting them as a 3rd team.
I do. As of right now, yes.
I might see them as 4th, right? But I don't see them in the top 3. What about the NFC?
The NFC, I'm going to come in number 3 with this one, with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go number 2. I'm going to go Washington. I know that sounds crazy, but they're playing solid football right now. And then number 1 is the Detroit Lions.
I got Philly as well, 3. I'm going to keep Green Bay at 2. I know they lost to Detroit, but that was a good game. I think Detroit, number 1, and Green Bay right now, the 2 best teams in the NFC. San Fran, could change with CMC coming back. They could be a totally different team for sure. I'm not putting the Commanders in that level yet. They really haven't beat anybody, in my opinion, at this point in time. Let's see what the Pittsburgh game is going to be. A big, big decision for either one of those 2 teams. We'll see who's the real deal after this weekend.
Yeah, one of those teams will cement themselves into my top 3, and the other one will fall out, whoever loses that game. By the way, I mentioned Minnesota, who bounced back nicely after 2 losses, and they're sitting at 7-2 or 6-2, whatever it is as well. So it's not a good team in the NFC, right?
But their 2 losses are what, to Detroit and Minnesota, right?
Detroit and Green Bay, you mean, right?
Green Bay. I'm sorry, Green Bay. Yeah. So there you go.
Right.
That's why I can't put them any higher because I got those two teams ahead of them, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right. Right.
all right. All right, well, let's make some picks. So you talked about Pittsburgh, Washington. We're going to pick that one right at the start. What do you think of that game?
Yeah, I know. And this it's going to contradict what I just did because I picked both of those teams in my top three. It's going to be a solid game this week. It's just, can Washington's offense do what it does with that Pittsburgh defense? Is Pittsburgh defense going to figure out a way to stop them? And if they do, then it's Pittsburgh's game. Um, but I think they won't. And I'm gonna give it to Washington uh, on this one. I'm going Washington. I know it's a risky pick, but
Pick up getting the defensive back. Geez, I'm drawing a blank right now from the Saints. Lattimore, Marcus Lattimore,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's a huge pickup at the trade deadline, which we didn't even talk about in some of the acquisitions. Pittsburgh also made a big move getting the second wide receiver, Mike Williams. So two teams who really helped themselves out unbelievably. And how the hell Kansas City? I still can't get over the fact that they got D-Op the week before. It just blows my mind. But I'm leaning towards Pittsburgh. I'm going Pittsburgh in this game. Until Washington beats a legitimate playoff team, which I believe Pittsburgh still will be, I got to go Pittsburgh at this point in time.
okay, that's a fair pick. I mean, I was right on the fence, but I just probably
Where
taking
did
Washington
T-Money
because they're
go
at
with?
home. He went with Pittsburgh as well.
Okay. All right, 49ers, Bucks. Bucks showed me a lot last week with no wide receivers in the room at all, pretty much. Bringing KC to overtime. Baker was once again showing he's one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league this year. 49, suppose you're going to have CMC back, correct?
Yep, they should.
On the road. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is the 49ers time to just show who they are. That's the way I look at this. They're seeing that their division is becoming very, very competitive. Seattle, the Rams are playing good football right now too. Let's not forget about that, right? And there's, Arizona is leading the division. So the 49ers right now they need to say, hey, we are the team in the West that's going to represent the West and we're going to win this division. And it all starts this weekend with CMC back. I think the team shifts on a dime and they stop playing 49er football. Tough game on the road. Bucks are resilient. I'm going to give you that, but I think the 49ers win.
You know what the most surprising thing about this, kind of slump that the 49ers are in? Their offense is okay. I realize Brock Purdy's come down to earth a little bit. Cinderella slipper cracked. But their defense has let them down, in my opinion, this season. They are not that juggernaut that everybody, painted them to be on defense at this point in time. Unless they figure out that problem, they're in trouble. I'm going to go 49ers just because I don't know how the Bucks win without wide receivers. I mean, Baker found a way to make it happen last week, made it close with KC, but I don't know that can continue. We'll see. I'd love to see him win the game. I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to go 49ers.
Yeah. Well, I think the key is shutting down Cade Otton. I mean, right now he's relying on Cade Otton a ton.
Yes.
Baker is. And the other guys, to your point, are young. I mean, McMillan is even going to play or not. You got guys that, what's his name? Sheffield's on that team now, right?
Sterling Shepard.
Shepard, I meant. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. But we all have the Niners on that one.
All right. Bills, Colts. This game, at the beginning of the year, you would have said this is going to be one of the challenges for the Bills this year going on the road. The Colts haven't shown what some people thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Starting at quarterback.
And their offense looked pathetic last week. I mean, absolutely pathetic. And Joe Flacco did not look good. I mean, he's a backup quarterback. Let's face it. At this age and where he is in his career, he's a backup quarterback, and yet he's starting because Anthony Richardson just absolutely can't find his way, right? But that being said, they still have good weapons. I mean, you still got Jonathan Taylor at running back. He's healthy now. You still got guys like Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, and there's some playmakers there on the team.
Playmakers for sure.
But the Bills are just indoors with Josh Allen and he has so much mouths to feed in that offense. There's a lot of good players, but Coleman's
he has a lot of decent players. But he doesn't have the whiner in the room anymore and Stephon Diggs saying, throw me the ball. And much like Patrick Mahomes last year and going into this year as well, he's now learned to be more of a well-rounded quarterback, throwing to the entire field as opposed to
Right.
looking at one guy, right?
Right. And that's what I mean with the mouths to feed. There's a lot of mouths to feed. You got James Cook and this Ray Davis kid, rookie's looking really good. You still have Khalil Shakir. As I mentioned, the rookie out of Florida State, Keon Coleman, he's out. He's officially out with a concussion. He took a severe
He's
hit at the
officially
end of
okay.
last game. He's officially out. But they still have other guys, veterans that they can rely on and throw to in the likes of, Curtis Samuel and people like that. So I think there's enough there. And Kincaid, let's not forget about Kincaid.
Yeah.
So I think that Bills actually running up on the Colts in this one. I see the Bills putting up in the mid-30s somewhere, and the Colts really struggling to get to 17. So
I get Bills winning as well. Blowout, I'm not sure, but okay. Wow. What's G Money got? Bills?
G Money has the Colts.
Ooh.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know what he's thinking, but all right. Here's speaking of the NFC West, we got the Cards hosting the Jets. In my mind, this is an elimination game. The Jets are done. They're probably already done, but this is definitely puts a nail in the coffin for the Jets. With this game, they lose. Cardinals are surprised. By the way, this is a big game for them because it puts them, I think, close to the top in the NFC West if they win this thing, right? Depending on how these other two games go with
they're already in the
Rams.
Yeah, they're already in first in the NFC West
right
now, going into the weekend. So, yeah, this is a big game for the Cardinals, no doubt. And I think the Jets are going to carry some momentum from that win last week. I mean, after the pathetic loss to the Patriots 2 weeks ago, that was a game they probably had already put a W on their score sheet for that one. So, and they lost. And I think that kind of woke them up a little bit. And now I think they have that momentum. And they have an easy schedule. You look at their schedule the rest of the way, they can surprise some people here and end up finishing this year 9-8. I think that's viable for them. They got to win this game on the road. And I think the Jets have better players, and the Jets will prevail. So I have the Jets on the road winning this one.
Kyler. I get Kyler Murray giving them fits. The defense of the Jets is going to go crazy trying to contain Kyler. He's the key in this game. He pulls it out. Cards win at home.
All right. I'll be like 5 minutes, Rach.
Lion, what's your money got on that one?
G Money has the Jets as well. You said you have the Cards, right?
Yep.
That's right.
All right, Lions, Texans. This at the beginning of the season was supposed to be a really big game. Texans, I don't think have played up to their capability. Obviously, they got challenges with wide receivers out and stuff like that. Lions, we just talked about them being the juggernaut. I don't see any way Lions lose. I don't care. They're going on the road, but they still win this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, right now they're looking like the best team in the NFL, well-rounded. And after they lost Aiden Hutchinson too, we would maybe question that. But by the way, they grabbed the Zadarius Smith. So
the trade deadline stuff that we want.
That's a great move for them. Yeah. Yep. So I'm all over the Lions as well.
Last one, your home team, the Dolphins, go out west to play the Rams, another NFC West team who's looking pretty good at the moment. What do you think?
I think this game's going to be just like the Thursday night game. Yeah, it's just going to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I think Miami's finally going to figure out their offense and put some points up. The question is, who's going to have the ball last and have that chance to win, right? I think it's going to be a very, very close game, pretty high scoring game. I'm going to go, oh man, it's tough to say. I still haven't picked this one. G Money has the Rams. I just think Miami figures out a way to win this one. Yeah, I'm going Miami.
It is SoFi at SoFi, and the Rams fly at SoFi. I get the Rams too.
All right, I'm going to go Dolphins. All right, wrap it up.
Man. Nice show. Have a good evening. I'll talk to you soon.
Enjoy the game tomorrow.
Thanks.
See you.